Hello guys, today, I'm going to explain a drama, romance, and sci-fi film called The Giver. After a catastrophe, the ruined society redesigned into literal black and white communities. Including the chief elder, ruled the communities. Anything that posed a threat to unity was removed in order to preserve peace and harmony. This intends that in this world, there is no such thing as skin tone, race, or religion. Each person is the same. Emotions, freedom, individuality, and joy were all eradicated, as well as conflict and suffering. It is against human nature to tell lies in order to advance society. Sexual longing and propagation were restricted, and all people were presently being hereditarily designed. A person will take their assigned place in the community when they reach the age of majority. Jonas, 18 years old, rides his bike with his two best friends, Fiona and Asher, one day before the graduation ceremony on their way to their final day volunteering at the nurturing center. Jonas, in contrast to his friends, is afraid and unsure of the path he will take. He feels different from his friends, and there are times when he sees things that only he can see, like a color. They make their way to the nurturing center, where Jonas's assigned father is also employed. His dad is at present focusing on a questionable infant, a child who hasn't been relegated to their nuclear family yet. The uncertain newborn, named Gabriel, shouts out, but Fiona rapidly relieves him as Jonas' dad calls his name. Jonas is worried because it is against the law to know a baby's name, but his father assures him that the sound of the name calms the baby. Jonas notices a tinge of red in Fiona's hair as his father explains it to him. He excuses it, and they go on with their work. The trio performs their little ritual of jumping through the miniature waterfall when the day is over, walking to the fountain. They promise to remain friends no matter what roles are given to them and discuss their upcoming graduation. Later that night, Jonas communicates his uneasiness during sentiments time at dinner, when his dad, mother, and younger sibling Lily discuss their day. His mom consoles him that the seniors are never off base, and that they've been watching him since Jonas was another kid, so they will pick the ideal job for him. Jonas's anxiety is not helped in any way by this. The following morning, the day to finally graduate arrives. The graduation ceremony is hosted by a hologram of the chief elder. The elders, who have retired and will be released to elsewhere, a retirement home for community members, are presented at the beginning of the ceremony. After that, newborns are assigned to their birth mothers. A symbol of independence and responsibility is given to children at the age of 9. Soon, Jonas and the other graduates appear on the stage, where the elders will appoint them to positions within the community. As expected, Fiona is given the role of nurturer, and Asher becomes a drone pilot. However, Jonas's number is skipped by the elders until all graduates have left the stage. The audience is reassured by the elders that this is not an error. They selected cautiously this time since they couldn't bear the cost of another disappointment. He has decided to become the next receiver of memory because of Jonas's intelligence, honesty, bravery, and capacity to see beyond the surface. Jonas asks his father what the chief elder meant when he said he couldn't afford another failure after the ceremony, but his mother interrupts the conversation in his bedroom. Jonas activates the chip to find out about his new job as the following collector of memory. He is responsible for making a direct report to the current receiver of memory. He must immediately return to his residence following his training. He is also exempt from rules against being rude at this time, and he is free to ask any question. Beside his everyday injection, he won't take any prescription, particularly ones that deny torment. He will be allowed to lie, and will not be allowed to discuss his training with anyone. On his most memorable day of preparing, Jonas wears his uniform, making him stick out from the rest, and rides his bicycle the entire way to the edge where a house stood. He goes into the house, and since he's the new collector of memory, it makes the ongoing one. Jonas is forced to sit across from the giver, who is sitting in his chair. Except for the receiver of memory, all humans in their communities have no recollections of the past. At the point when the elder need direction on issues past their experience, they go to the receiver of memory, who gives them shrewdness. It is Jonas' responsibility as the giver to share this history with him now that he is the new receiver of memory. Jonas spots a mark on the giver's wrist as he moves closer towards him. As Jonas takes his hands in his, the giver notices the same mark on his wrist. Jonas is instantly transported into a brand new world that he has never experienced as their hands come together. He's surrounded by what you call snow, and it's very cold. He comes across a sled and rides it until he comes to a house where a family is singing Christmas carols. Jonas is then returned to the giver's room. The giver tells him that he will remember the names and feelings. The giver informs Jonas as they walk home that he will discover that their current world has so much more to offer. Mother inquires about his training in the evening and observes that he has a distinct personality. Their conversation ends abruptly. Father has decided to bring Gabriel into the house to assist him in catching up on his development. Jonas is aware that this child will also be chosen when he notices the same mark on Gabriel's wrist. They investigate the idea of color at training the following day. While the giver informs him that his first color was yellow, Jonas reveals that the first color he observed in Fiona's hair was red. When Jonas goes back into the memories, he sees a rainbow in the sky. He is taking in what is known as a sunset. He regains his ability to see color when he opens his eyes again. The more he finds out about the varieties, the more he will see them in this world. The elders decided to eliminate colors because they made people jealous. A tree emerges from the mist as Jonas surveys the scene from the window. However, they were also told a lot of things, including that there was nothing beyond the mist. When morning comes, Fiona finds Jonas lying on the grass and taking in the sky. However, Fiona does not possess the same color vision as he does. Asher finds them holding hands and welcomes them to the survey point, where they can watch the drones fly. Asher informs them that he has seen something else at the viewing point. Like the communities, there are only a few farms and houses there. The fact that he observed two enormous rocks in the shape of a triangle is peculiar. The two then inquire about Jonas's job. Rather than telling them, he shows them. Jonas gets a plate and Fiona does likewise. Asher withdraws and resumes his training. In the meantime, Fiona and Jonas climb down from the viewing platform onto their trays and into the grass below. As Jonas lifts Fiona to her feet, they laugh. They are reminded by the community radio that it is impolite to touch people outside of their immediate family. The chief elder, on the other hand, meets with the giver and asks about Jonas's education. He learns from her that Jonas was almost caught sharing his training with friends. The giver informs her that this is unavoidable, and even he once attempted to impart his training on his friends. She tells him to keep in mind what happened to the previous receiver and not get carried away. He tells her that the receiver had a name and gives her a glare. The giver gives Jonas a number of books to read after the day's training. One of the books gives away a map. It's a guide of their reality with a huge limit called the boundary of memories. Jonas comes to the conclusion that all of the world's memories will be released if one of them closes the boundaries. He is then shown a piano as the giver takes him to the basement. He acquaints him with music and the significance of feelings. After that, he tells Jonas that the morning injections make it impossible for them to feel emotions. He takes Jonas by the hand and takes him back to a different memory, this time of a medieval wedding with food, music, and dancing. Jonas experiences a wide range of emotions he has never experienced before upon awakening. At the point when he returns home in the wake of preparing, he shows Lily how to dance. His parents appear disturbed when they see them dancing. The chief elder's hologram message interrupts their conversation. The rest of the family go out and begin their day, while Mother stays to converse with the chief elder. She asks the chief elder if Jonas is receiving proper training, but he assures her that she is. He tells her a lie, telling her that they talk while sitting together. He grabs an apple as he heads outside and uses it instead of his arm to get the morning injection. The chief elder advises his mother to be more concerned about her son as Jonas departs. The giver teaches Jonas everything about the ancient world over the next few days. He imparts to him different recollections from various individuals, societies, and religions. Additionally, he tells him about the animals they once had. He shows him each worldwide achievement, and each significant authentic occasion from quite a while ago. What Jonas is learning has him completely captivated. He wants to learn more every day. He learns something new. He adores the old world because it seems somehow more complete. The giver senses that Jonas is prepared to experience pain at one point. During a session, he holds his hand and reminds him of an elephant being killed by poachers. Jonas finds himself crying when he awakes. He is consoled by the giver, who tells him that there will be far worse things to come. Jonas is unable to sleep later that night, so he comforts Gabriel in his cradle. He shows him by holding his wrist and tells him about the animals. Jonas is now aware that Gabriel may be appointed the new receiver of memory. He dreams about Fiona as he looks out her window. They kiss each other while he dreams he is sleeping. When Jonas describes his dream to the giver, he discovers that it is a hybrid of fantasy and reality. He tells Jonas that the love he has for Fiona is the beginning of love, but that the elders take away love and all other feelings. While Jonas and Fiona ride their bikes together, he considers this. He hesitates to discuss his training when she asks about it the following day. He likewise has a befuddled outlook on his affections for her. He asks his family about the concept of love later at home, but their responses are of no assistance. He shows Gabriel how much he loves him as he cuddles him up for the night. He then imparts a couple of cheerful recollections to him before he nods off. The giver is found on the floor when Jonas arrives for training the following day. He rushes to assist him, but the giver stops him before they can hold hands, and Jonas' memories begin to flood in. He is in the midst of a bloody battle on a battlefield. His companion lays close to him, bleeding from the chest. He discharges his firearm at the presumed enemy and kills her. Upon awakening, Jonas is horrified. He has never felt anything like this before. This is what they call loss and pain. He flees the giver, who is telling him that he won't see that for a few years longer. However, it is too late. Jonas no longer wants to deal with these memories. The situation takes the giver back to Rosemary. She was the receiver before Jonas. The giver sees Rosemary in his own recollections, crying as she leaves. In the meantime, Jonas sees Asher on the local area grounds. Asher observes his friend leave as he behaves strangely. Jonas is not aware of the pain and loss he is experiencing because he is looking at the children playing in a fog. He finally gives in when Fiona approaches him. He tells her that he wants to stop being a receiver and stop taking his injections. She will soon understand what he's talking about because he also encourages her to stop taking injections. He insists that he doesn't quit his job because Fiona thinks he's crazy. He then, at that point, advises her to get together with him tomorrow at the fountain. When Jonas returns to the house at the edge, he discovers the giver observing a memory in the basement. Jonas is finally informed by the giver of Rosemary, his daughter, and the receiver who came before him. She was in preparing for only 2 months when she demanded that she was prepared to take on the agony. After that, he took her to a memory of a mother who had lost her child. She went to the elders the following day and asked to be released into elsewhere, but the memory was too painful for her. Jonas imagines that it couldn't be really awful, assuming Rosemary was just living in somewhere else, yet the giver gives him a dark look and shows him a hologram video of individuals who were released that morning. Jonas watches the video and sees his father holding one of the twins' babies. He takes the child to a different room and continues to inject it on the head. Because there can only be one of the same thing, twins are split, and the other one is sent to elsewhere, as the baby stops moving. Jonas looks horrified. The child passes on and his dad isn't even mindful of what he's doing. He is unaware that the child is receiving a lethal injection. The provider lets Jonas know that the people don't embrace the idea of death since they've never been acquainted with it. It turns out every one of the youthful and elderly individuals they were delivering to somewhere else were being killed by deadly infusion. Jonas is furious at the giver and demands to know why they've never done anything to stop this before. He tells Jonas that if these people can't feel, there's no point. He rushes to the fountain after training to find Fiona shattered. She is now feeling overwhelmed because she did not take her morning injections. He asks her about her feelings while holding her hand. He then kisses her as he leans in. They both have a fuzzy, warm feeling inside. Fiona leaves despite Jonas's assurances that there is more to their current situation. At the point when he returns home, he doesn't join his family at supper, profoundly concerning his mom. He asks where Gabriel is, and incidentally, Gabriel has bombed his test for development and will be delivered into elsewhere. Jonas is wiser than his parents, despite their belief that this is beneficial. The sentence is death. Asher approaches him after he packs his bag and escapes through his window. He is stopped from fleeing by Asher, who questions his peculiar behavior. He punches Jonas out of the way when he tries to block him off. He then, at that point, gets back on his bicycle and rides the entire way to the edge. When Jonas gets there, he asks the giver for help, and the giver gladly helps him. They collaborate on a strategy. Gabriel will travel with Jonas to the boundary of memory with the intention of liberating all human memories, where the giver will reside and assist those whose memories have recently been restored. If he had the map, he asks the giver why he hasn't done anything in years. But it turns out that the giver was just waiting for someone like Jonas to come along. After Asher informed her of Jonas's escape, Jonas' mother reports to the chief elder. They start looking for Jonas after bringing up his activities over the past year. A hologram transmits that Jonas has vanished and is being sought back at the edge. He receives the map and one final memory from the giver to boost his courage. Jonas approaches Fiona as he rides his bike to the nurturing center. He manages to persuade her to take him to the restricted floor, where Gabriel and the other uncertains are being held together. In the interim, fighters are now assembling outside the middle. She hears from Jonas that he is taking Gabriel with him when he leaves the community tonight. Fiona declines his invitation to join him, claiming that she simply cannot leave her family behind. He vows to return for her, and they share one final kiss. Jonas accepts Gabriel as Fiona takes another support and baits the security away. While he gets away, Jonas runs outside and takes one of the security cruisers. As Fiona is finally caught. As more security personnel chase him, he rides all the way to the edge. As he's approaching the finish of their property, he takes a full breath and ventures out towards the unexplored world. He crashes into unidentified ground below before disappearing into the mist. Since the elders can't follow him now, they take in Asher and Fiona for cross-examination. Jonas, on the other hand, has reached the desert and is speeding toward the border. The elders discover Jonas' plans back at the headquarters and arrest the giver. While the elders hold a ceremony of loss for Jonas in an effort to make up for his disappearance, the giver and Fiona wake up in prison together. The main senior uncovers to Asher that Jonas is reasonable still alive and doles out him a mysterious mission to find him and dispose of him. Since Jonas is Asher's best friend, He feels conflicted about accepting the assignment. Past the fog. Jonas has now deserted his cruiser and has begun strolling. Asher begs his friend to trust him and let them go when his drone appears just at that moment. The drone's magnet pulls them up and away as Jonas begins to run. The drones are then dropped by Asher by flying them to a river. He doesn't want to kill his friend, so he lets them go into the water so they can get away. Before taking off, he waits until he sees Jonas emerge from the water. The main senior contacts Asher, and without precedent for his life, Asher lies and lets him know that Jonas is dead. Jonas and Gabriel, on the other hand, emerge from the water and continue their journey toward the border. The memory of Fiona keeps Jonas going, despite having the desire to give up hundreds of times. He needed to make it so he could return and save her. In the meantime, Fiona is released from her cell by Jonas' mother, who has made arrangements for her release elsewhere. Mother learns from Fiona that she now comprehends what Jonas has been discussing. She's felt things she's never felt, and she knows there's something else to the unfilled day-to-day routines they've been experiencing. Gabriel and Jonas have reached the snow-covered mountains, which are back in the beyond. They fight the freezing cold. Jonas examines his map as they make their way toward the borders. The tower that marks the border ought to be nearby somewhere. Fiona is escorted to the chamber room, where she will be released, as they continue their journey. The elders are invited in by the giver when he arrives on the opposite side of the room. He begs the elders to end this ruse and finally let the people out of this prison. The main senior counters back, saying that they're whimsical, assuming they figure bringing back adoration can help them. Love can quickly transform into passion, which can then transform into contempt and ultimately murder. People are selfish and weak. The giver ought to be the one who is most aware of the fact that when people are given the option of choosing, they always make the wrong choice. In the meantime, Gabriel is held in his arms by Jonas, who collapses from the cold and wakes up in the middle of the snow. He climbs on the sled like he remembered it and sees it. They slide down the cold slope, lastly arrive at the pinnacle demonstrating the boundary. Millions of memories are released as they cross the force field. Jonathan and Gabriel are overjoyed to learn that it is real when they arrive at the house just as they are about to administer the injection to Fiona. Also, in his heart, Jonas realizes that Fiona is protected, and they will see each other very soon. Subscribe, enable notifications, be patient, and leave a like if you'd like to see more videos like this one. I appreciate your attention.